CBC, British Columbia.
Tonight on Pacific Report, one in the oven and one at the door. Hi, I'm Wendy Strasdine. By the time most of us reach the ripe old age of 40, our lives are pretty well set. Some call it a lifestyle, others call it a rut. Tonight we meet some people who prove once again that life can begin at 40. Until 3 months ago, their leisure time was their own. No responsibilities, no mortgage, no babysitters to worry about. Later on Pacific Report, Alan Garr talks turkey on education cutbacks. And we meet a door-to-door salesman who's seen it all. Nothing but nothing can surprise him. Next on Pacific Report, a motherhood issue in 2 minutes. At the age of 40, when the candles on your birthday cake threaten to melt the icing, most people have settled into a pattern. Their careers are established and their children are growing up. But there are some people who choose a very different life after 40, one filled with dirty diapers and 3 a.m. feedings. Adding a baby to the family when mom and dad are over 40 means some very dramatic lifestyle changes. It also carries some very special joys and some very specific risks. Would you think it would be better for women to have babies at an earlier age rather than at a later age?
Oh, ideally, as an obstetrician, certainly. The ideal time to have your baby is in the mid-20s. The risks then are at their lowest of all things. But that's not the lifestyle that we seem to be living at the moment.
Come on, somebody. Save me from this big worse than something or other.
Jim Ross and Rhoda Hughes are pretty good examples of the kind of lifestyle Dr. Shaw is referring to. They've both worked or studied all their adult lives. Until 3 months ago, their leisure time was their own. No responsibilities, no mortgage, no babysitters to worry about. And then came Morgan. Rhoda just turned 42.
In my 20s, I really wasn't interested in having a family. And as I got into my 30s, I had embarked on a new part of my life by going to university, and I was quite busy. I also felt that I still had some time, and I think as I got to the age of 40, I started to realize that it definitely was running out.
Rhoda's kept her body in better shape in the last 4 years than she ever has in her life, so she felt pretty confident on that level. Aware of the genetic risks involved, she also had amniocentesis, with positive results.
I also understood my body much better than I would have if I had had the baby at a young age. I knew that I was able to go through sustained periods of discomfort, for instance, the labor, and that I would be able to cope with it. And I think at the age of 22 or 3, I wouldn't have had that knowledge.
And when he was born, I guess I went on real high for what? Oh, about 2 days or something like that. Couldn't sleep afterward. Went up to work and, sort of stopped people on the mall and told them, hey, did you hear? Did you hear about this big fella?
Yeah. Having a baby definitely means a change in their lives. For one thing, they're moving out of the tiny apartment they've lived in for years. Reading time these days is often taken up by the Real Estate Weekly.
After X number of years, you get into these ruts and patterns, and I had some idea about it was going to make a major change, and it sure has. Mm-hmm. I mean, the whole world this past 2 months essentially has been topsy-turvy.
What are you looking at? We had a great deal of flexibility and freedom before. We tended not to plan a great deal. We did things spontaneously, and we enjoyed going out to eat with friends and on our own. And now, of course, we have to stop and think about the baby. And at the moment, I'm breastfeeding, so it's not that easy to get away for an evening.
So, now they do their entertaining at home. Did any of your friends think you'd lost it entirely? Think that you were nuts for having a baby now?
I'm sure they did. I think they were kind enough not to tell me that. In fact, I was very, very pleased with the reception that I did receive from friends and acquaintances when they first discovered that I was pregnant.
Does the thought that you are going to be 62 when Morgan is 20 scare you at all?
No, it doesn't. I said that rather emphatically because I do have the experience of my own parent. My father died before I grew up. Oh, little guy.
And of course your mother was 42 and she had you.
And my mother was in her 60s then when I reached my 20s. And I did realize then that she was in many ways younger in her attitude to life than my friends' parents. So I have that experience behind me.
This one went so well, Rhoda and Jim are thinking about having another child. They know it's a decision they can't put off too long.